Okay. Okay, welcome everybody to the October 2025 Tika Talk series. We have two excellent talks today and um, no announcements. My name is Isaac Lichtermark and I'm a member of the Tika Talks committee, although I'm leaving soon from the Tika Talks organizing committee and there are some exciting new members that will be joining. We'll have um well I don't know if I'm allowed to announce that yet. I'll check and in intermission we can announce who the new members of the committee will be. But the process has begun for organizing the Tika Talks series for the following year. So if anybody here on the call would like to give a talk, and it's a very low pressure, way to get your research out to a global audience, we would love to hear from you. You're welcome to send me an email, or you can send an email I'll put the email in the chat that you can send an email to. And I think that's all we have to share today. There's a new issue of Capitulum coming out soon that I hope everyone's excited for. So for the first talk, we're going to have Benoit Loeuille speaking about the composite of Flora Zambesica. With that, Benoit, you can take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks, Isaac, for this opportunity to talk about Flora Zambesica. So I'm working at Kew Gardens, and I am the current editor of Flora Zambesica. So I will have a few words about the context of Flora Zambesica, and then talk about a bit about the compositing. Oops. Yeah, just an issue with my screen. Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, so the African flowers at Kew, it's a very old history. The first one is the flower of tropical Africa. It was projected by the then director William Jackson Hooker, and it started a few years after he passed away. It was first edited by Dan Oliver. It took nearly 60 years to be published. Then we have some more regional floras. The first one was Flower of West Tropical Africa. There's two editions. The first one was edited by Hutchinson and Dalziel, and the second by Epper. It covers around 7,300 species. If you notice, they have been published in quite short time, less than 10 years, 10 or 20 years for each edition. It's mainly due to the format with very short description and very limited synonymy. So the flora of tropical East Africa, it started in 52. It was finished more or less 15 years ago. It appeared in 255 fascicles and covers a bit more than 12,000 species from Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. At the same time, then we had the Flora Zambesiaca. It covers the countries of the Zambezi River Basin, so namely Mozambique, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, and a bit of Namibia, which is called the Caprivi Strip. The vegetation in the Flora Zambesiaca area is quite diverse, but most part is covered by a savanna called Miombo. We can see, where's my mouse? Okay. The Miombo is dominated by a few species of Brachystegia, a genus of Leguminosae. Another kind of savanna is the Mopane, which in this time it's covered, dominated by Mopane tree, another Leguminosae. You will find patches of Mopane in the south part of the Flora Zambesiaca area. When we go in Botswana towards Kalahari Desert, we'll find a more drier environment. We have also have some wet vegetations like a dambo. In the mountains, especially Chimanimani Mountains, And in Malawi, you have at the top of the mountain some alpine vegetation, and at the base some patches of humid forest. Um, a map of the vegetation was published in the 70s by Granvaux Barbosa and Hiram Wild. Some historical background for this project. So the idea is from Hiram Wild, who was working as a national herbarium of Zimbabwe. Then it was the Southern Rhodesia. Published his paper in the South African Journal of Science to propose the idea of a Flora Zambesica. He came to Kew in the early 50s, and then he set up the agreement between different institutions with Mendonça in the Centro de Botanica in Portugal, and with Arthur Excel at the British Museum. Here we have the progress of the flora. So we have still a few volumes to publish. So it divided in different, the first period with Hiram Wild, Excel until the early 70s. And then due to political context in Portugal, Portugal decided to leave this project, as well as the Natural History Museum. So in 72, Kew Gardens took over this project. So at the end, we will have 15 volumes with 54 parts. 4 parts are still to be published. It's 3 of them are composite and 1 is Commelinaceae. And the total numbers for this flora is 1,897 genera, a bit more than 10,000 species. Inside Flora Zambesica, 107 new species were published. If we take into account all the publications in Kew Bulletin where people publish their new species also, this number probably much higher. The top 5 families are the Leguminosae. So by far it's the largest family for the area. Then followed by Poaceae, Compositae, Orchidaceae and Rubiaceae. We have 769 combs. 154 authors from Africa and for Europe did treatments in this flora, and we had 11 editors. The most prolific editor was Gerald Pope in the 80s and 90s, who edited 27 parts. Okay, the composite for Flora Zambesica. So it started with Hiram Wild. He has a special interest in the family, and he published seminal papers, 12 papers between 67 and 83 in a journal he created in Zimbabwe. This journal is called Kirkia, and each paper will deal with one tribe for Flora Zambesica. In each paper you have the foundation for the floristic treatment. He also published several taxonomic revisions like Anisopappus, Nidorella, the African Conaiza. In total, he will publish 165 new names of Compositae, including 93 new taxa. But we will have to wait 1992 to have the first volume, the first part of volume 6 for the Asteraceae. It is the work of Gerald Pope, who was also the editor. In this first volume, you have the Mutisiae, Carduae, Vernoniae, Lactucae, and Arctotidae. And as you can see, half of the volume is Vernonia, Sensulato, which is very rich in this area. And the other genera have less than 20 species. Some example. So in the Mutisiae, Pleotaxis angustirugosa, which is endemic of Zambia. In the Cichoriae, the genus Lactuca is quite diverse. We have around 20 species in the area. Arctotidae is less than 10 species. One example here with Berkea echinacea, and some Vernonium. Endemic of Zambia, Vernonia zambiana. From Malawi, Brachytrix pawekie. You notice that you don't have any pappus in Brachytrix. And interesting small genus, Dewildemania. Here's the species Platycephala. It's not endemic to Flora Zambesica. It also occurs in Tanzania. They have this very big head with a palate receptacle. Gerald Pope retired in the 94, 95, and then it's Nicholas Hind here at Kew who took over the composite for Flora Zambesica. He decided to follow the classification that the tribal classification that Gerald Pope was following. So when I say Eliante, it's Eliante sensulato, and when I say Inule, it's including Gnaphalium in this talk. And the four remaining parts are expected to be published until early 2027. In May of this year, so the volume, the part with Calendulae, Eliante, and Eupateo was published. Most of the treatments were done by Nicholas Hind, except for Bidens, was done by Mesfintadese. It's also the largest genus in the flora for this volume. So I think there is a big difference between the volume done by Nicholas from the previous one because it includes lots of synonyms with the citing types and lots of notes. So it's very rich, and even for some species that are widespread, it's very important to consult the Flora Zambesica for this nomenclatural reason. Some example. So for calendulae, you have Dimorphotheca cuneata. There are very few calendulae, less than 10. And in the Eliante sensulatum, Lipotriche scandens was known in the past as Melanthera, Guizotia scabra, and also this very nice Bidens rubicundula, endemic of Zambia too. There are very few Eupatoriae. One example is Tomatanthes zambiensis. The next part to be published, I'm correcting the proof. It will be out in January, February next year. It's the Sinicione volume. The treatments have been written by Nicholas Hind, Hank Bench, and me. All the diversities in the genus Senecio, it was written by Hank Bench. And there is also in this volume a new species of Klenia mashawensis, known only from two collections from Zimbabwe. Some example of the Sinicione diversity in the area. Senecio rondi, endemic of Zambia, Cineraria mazuensis. There are also a lot of Emilia. Here an example of Emilia discifolia. With fleshy leaves, Lopholena coreifolia. It's a species endemic from Mozambique. And also Klenia viminalis, the new combination with a succulent stem and leaves. Also expected towards the end of 2026 is a part 3 with the tribe Atroisme, Astere, and Antemidae. Treatments written by Nicholas, Anifat Bello, Joe Osborne, Tim Harris, and me. There are 32 genera and 100 species. Largest genus is Conaiza. The treatment was done by Anifat Bello. Here are some examples. So for the Astere, we have Conaiza limosa, which is quite widespread in Africa. Also quite widespread in Southern Africa, Nidorella residifolia. The quite weird Denechia capensis, the monotypic genus. And two examples of the Enthemidae, Schistostephium heptalobum, endemic of Zambia, and Pensia incana. And finally, for 2027, we have the last part for the composite of Flora Zambesica with the tribes Platycarpe and Inule sensulato. Treatment by Nicholas Hein, Engbench, and Anifat Bello. There are 160 species, but half of it, more than half of it, is in the genus Helichrysum. The treatment was written by Engbench. And some example. So we have only one Platycarpe, which is Platycarpella carlinoides. And in the Inule, we have Gegeriam shinsi. This subspecies is endemic of Zambia. Atrixia rosmarinifolia, Lagera, Spheranthus. There are nearly 20 species of Spheranthus, so it's quite diverse. And obviously Helichrysum. This Helichrysum africanum is endemic of the Shimani Mountains. It's a range of mountains between Zimbabwe and Mozambique. I would like to thank the Africa team at Q, and a special thanks for the Krukov Fund for the study of African botany, who have been funded for Zambesica for the last 3 or 4 decades. Thank you.
Thank you, Benoit. And while everybody is applauding in their Zoom windows, uh, we can open up the Zoom for some questions for a couple minutes before we move on to the next talk. If you do have any questions, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself or put them in the chat. I just had one question for you, Benoit, which is what you showed that picture of Platycarpella.
Yeah,
It looks like a purple bullseye. What what's going on there? Like where are the capitula and
it's a
how
lot
does
of
that plant work?
capitulas. I think it's a secondary head. It's very close to the ground. Uh, I've collected ones in South Africa. It's very very annoying to collect. It's huge, and there are two genus, Platycarpum and Platycarpella. That's all. And I think the total there is 3 species. It was a revision by Vicky a few years ago.
Yeah, Mauricio.
Hi, nice talk, Benoit. Thank you. How easy is to collect there?
Sorry?
How easy is to move around in the country collecting, or
In
how
Zambia,
difficult? I don't know.
yeah, it really depends on each countries and the rules to get a visa or to have a permit to collect. Zambia is quite easy and the infrastructure is very good. Um, it's the country I've been. I've been also to South Africa and I've been to DRC. And DRC was terrible. It was very, very difficult to work. When I was there was a civil war, so we had to come back earlier. So it really depends the countries. It's I'm trying to go to Tanzania. It's just a nightmare to get a license.
Thank you.
So unless there's any other questions, um, we'll move on to the next talk after just a brief announcement, which is that so for the next year of TICAtalks, Colin Hogue will be taking the lead as the leader of the TICAtalks committee, and Erica Moore Pollard will be sticking around and still a very active member of the committee. I'll be stepping down from the committee, and two new members will be joining. We'll have Fabio Andres Avila will be joining the committee, and also Carme Blanco. So there'll be some exciting new changes. And again, if you'd like to give a talk, I will put in the chat that you can reach out by email to Colin, or you can email any member of the committee. Before we go to the next talk, I'm going to stop the recording.